fantasy card. In this 1900 fantasy card, envisioning air travel in the year 2000, was one of the inspirations for my collection. The other was my personal association with aviation pioneer Igor Sikorsky. This card was mailed in 1901 from Transylvania to my grandmother, Esther Nemec, who lived in Inota, by a cousin of hers. All I can say is, we've come a long way, baby. Note that this and one other piece that's also shown in this presentation are in color. And that's because I still own them. These were not sold. I consider them to be family memorabilia.
The postmark is a PU.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what was the other cancel? Can we go back to it,
Let's
or
go back, yeah.
where it's gone?
It's
It's hard to read.
it's a railroad cancel,
114 FC.
114. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's something
Anyway, moving on.
I've seen on lots of postcards with different languages. Everything else is crossed out except
Yeah,
one.
except the Hungarian in this case that they want
Mm-hmm.
to be visible. Anyway, during the siege of Paris in the Franco-Prussian War, balloons were used to send mail out of the city. This piece of mail was flown on the balloon L'Archimède on November 21st, 1870. The balloon landed in Holland, and its mail was then put into normal postal channels. It went to Hungary via Vienna, where transit mark was added. Siege of Paris balloon mail to Eastern Europe is pretty rare. At Budapest's 1896 Millennium Exhibition, the French balloonist Louis Goddard provided visitors rides aloft in a feathered balloon. Souvenir postcards were sold there. They are unflown unless the buyer happened to carry them aloft on their balloon ride. This example actually went into the normal mails in 1899. Austro-Hungarian army balloonist Gustav Tepser, in the summer of 1898, carried postcards aloft on his flights from the balloon station at Steinfeld, Austria, which is just about 10 miles west of Schupron. Tepser cards with 10 different ballooning scenes are known. He posted them wherever he landed, usually in Hungary due to the prevailing west winds. Excuse me. His notations are in Gabelsberger shorthand, therefore difficult to read. This card to his sweetheart says, landed safely at Andrashida near Zella Egerseg. 1,000 kisses as always, your devoted Gustav.
Not 1,000,000 kisses, only 1,000.
Well, so be it. Between 1900 and 1914, Army balloonists often dropped cards during their flights to facilitate weather research. This mail is quite scarce before 1908 and after 1911. The cards, when found, were put into the mail by the finder. All pre-World War I Army balloon cards had to be franked. This 1903 card, picturing the balloon station at Steinfeld, was franked with Austrian stamps, but was put in the mail by the finder at a Hungarian border village of Színfalva, hence the postage due. It bears notations from both the pilot and the finder. I'll note that I also had in my collection a balloon card that was put in the mail with Austrian franking. that was put in the mail at a railroad station rather than a postal facility, with a railroad cancel in Hungary, and it was not postage due because apparently near the border, if you put mail on a railroad, Austrian stamps were legal. Pale blue or pale green postcards were prepared for weather research balloon drops. These were used primarily between 1908 and 1911. They were inscribed Glück ab or Glück ab gut Land, essentially happy landings. Such cards were dropped from about 20 different balloons. Are known. Cards from the balloons Wimpassing and Bussard are shown here. Sometimes the finder filled in the information requested, sometimes not. Again, most of these cards were found and put in the mail in Hungary.
Hey, Vic,
Yes.
on your second card there, if you could go back for just a second.
Let's go back one. Okay.
The second card there where you have like 3 lines of where it's like writing and everything. The very first line in that thing there, what does that read? I swear it looks like Brainard there.
No, it's Bussard, Bussard. That's the name of the balloon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That
That does look like
that's
Brainerd, though.
the name of the balloon, and then the pilot, and well, the two lieutenants that were on there. One of them
Okay.
is called the Führer, and the other is called whatever. I don't know the German word. Okay.
Thanks.
The Austro-Hungarian army held annual maneuvers, often in conjunction with the German army. Souvenir cards were prepared for the troops to send home, many of which have aeronautical motifs. The 1901 card at left bears a field post cancellation, and the message includes, "We are participating in the maneuvers and getting considerable airtime." The 1911 card at right is from the maneuvers at Strupko in northern Hungary. It shows all 3 modes of aviation used by the army: airplane, balloon, and dirigible, and pictures the army's top leadership, including Chief of Staff Franz Conrad von Hötzendorf, who is a relative of mine by marriage. None of this type of material was flown.
It's a beautiful card.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
And you didn't suffer from your heritage.
The 1910 International Air Show in Budapest was patterned after the hugely successful 1909 competition in Reims, France. The competition, which involved airplane flights, went through the 10th of June and was hampered by bad weather. The show continued with a series of demonstrations. It culminated on the 15th with a triple balloon ascension, as seen in the photo of the flying grounds at Rakosmeze. The souvenir blue and black postcard seen here was used to report to headquarters in Vienna that they flew for, quote, 2 hours and 30 minutes to altitudes of 1,100 meters. The card signed by all 3 aeronauts, Nemetz, Hertz, and Stohansel.
Could somebody remind me the meaning of 72 on the Budapest cancel?
That's a post office number.
Yeah. What post office in particular?
I think isn't that the main post office?
No, the main post office is 4. This is in District 7, number 2 post office.
Anything special about 72?
No, it's just, like I said, the second post office.
It's on a lot of airmail stuff, early airmail stuff.
Went through 72.
That 72, maybe. Well, I don't know. I don't know where they landed.
No, I
Um,
asked because I've been accumulating a rather large collection of 72s.
I think it's
Oh,
Kellerty Palio Utvar. It's the East Railway Station. I think.
Oh, okay, that could very well be.
the
Yeah.
east- Is that the Keller Depot?
Kellerty, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, okay, so I'll move on.
Yes, it's
Now,
Kellerty.
Paul, did you have something? No, okay.
No, okay.
Okay, we'll move on to the wartime period. Operational balloon units were typically used in tethered applications, primarily for artillery spotting on the front and harbor defense at Adriatic ports. As with all Army units, unfranked soldiers' mail bore the hand stamp of the sender's unit and the cancellation of the field post office. Virtually all such mail was unflown. We see here a piece of 1915 mail from Balloon Detachment 14 that was dispatched from field post number 68. This was an artillery spotting unit on the Russian front in Galicia. Balloon Company 27 was a coastal defense unit stationed at the Bay of Cataro.
Yeah.
The airplane mail of the before besieged fortress city of Przemysl in Galicia in late 1914 and early 1915 is well known. But there also exists mail carried by unmanned balloons out of Przemysl. 10,000 of these dark blue flimsy postcards were prepared with a balloon post Przemysl 1915 hand stamp. The small balloons with a wax sealed packet containing about 500 cards and a cone of sand ballast, as seen in the photograph at left, were sent aloft. 5 were sent up in January and 5 in March. The packet label was printed in all the languages of the empire and asked the finder to turn it into any government office for a 10 koruna reward. 2 of the March balloons are known to have been captured by the Russians. The fate of 3 balloons is certain, though. The first was a March balloon found at Turya Remete in northeastern Hungary on March 19th and put in the mail at Field Post 47. The example seen above is from that flight and was delivered at Escher on the 26th. 2 of the January balloons were found later, one of them in Lemesh in May and another in Margitfalva in June. That leaves 5 lost balloons, and some mail from those 5 lost balloons has survived. The example seen at the right is dated January 13th. There's no indication of where it was posted, but it has a June 16th, 1915 receiving mark of Solnuk. Once the war began, the hugely expensive manned balloon units were needed for operational tasks at the front and were no longer available for weather research. But the weather station at Sumbatay, Feldvetter Station 6, used small unmanned balloons to continue their research. The 2 pieces shown here are flown examples of the cards returned to the station by the finders. This kind of material is quite rare, as only a single card needed to be sent with each balloon. The salmon-colored card at left was mailed back from Borabasheg, south of Zella Egerseg, on April 21st. The typewritten form on the reverse was filled out by the finder. This may have been a one-off experiment. The other piece is a mimeographed folded postcard known to have been used in both 1917 and 1918. Since the city is not part of the printed form, it may have been used by other weather stations as well as Sumbate. This example was found at Khaled and posted at Janushaza, both south of Seldomok. The other side has printed instructions to the finder in German, Magyar, and Croatian. Now I'll move on to the other type of lighter than air craft, dirigibles, essentially powered, controllable balloons. The Austro-Hungarian army used 3 dirigibles prior to World War I. The M1 was a Parseval type non-rigid airship built in 1909 and stationed at Fischermende, Austria. At left is a landing greetings card flown on the M1 and mailed from Hungary in July 1911 by the pilot Lieutenant Tauber. The M2 was a Lebaudy Juliet type airship commissioned in 1910 and stationed at Erkang, Hungary. The unusual bright blue balloon card dropped from the Ragusa in 1911 pictures the M2. The 1911 M3 was an Austrian adaptation of the Parseval design. It was wrecked in a collision with an airplane, with all aboard both aircraft lost. All of these KUK dirigibles were lost or obsolete before World War I began. I'm sure you're all familiar with the story of David Schwartz, a Hungarian who invented the rigid airship, seen in the photo at its only flight near Berlin. His patents were sold to Count Zeppelin and were the basis of the hugely successful Zeppelin airships, which dominated the skies for more than a quarter of a century. Seen here are 2 pre-war pieces related to Zeppelins. At left, a souvenir postcard prepared for the 1908 Army maneuvers at Veszprém. It pictures the Zeppelin Z3, which was supposed to be a part of those maneuvers. Actually, it never made it there because it was laid up for repairs. This card is part of the correspondence of Army balloonist Siegfried Heller, whose wife unfortunately removed the stamps before selling the treasure trove of cards after his death. The card at right was flown in Germany in 1913 by the Zeppelin Hansa, and then on to its Hungarian destination by normal means. My father-in-law remembered seeing these passenger and mail-carrying Zeppelins flying over his North German village as a boy. The KUK Army ordered 5 Zeppelins, but they were never delivered due to the onset of World War I. But at the time of the 1915-16 Romanian incursion into Transylvania, Germany established a Zeppelin base at Szent András, just outside of Temesvar, which was in use for over a year. During that time, 4 Zeppelins operated from the base to assist in repelling the invaders and for bombing in enemy-controlled Southeast Europe. The 4 were the LZ-46, LZ-81, 85, and 97. At the right is a card from an LZ-85 crew member posted from St. András by a German field post. At left is a card from a crew member of the LZ-46 with a faint hand stamp, Luftschiffer Truppe 14, Temesvar, Süd-Ungarn. It also bears Hungarian franking canceled by a double circle Luftschiffhafen St. András by Temesvar, Süd-Ungarn. The card sends New Year's greetings for 1916. Was carried by regular mails from Temesvar to Berlin.
Vic, may I ask about
Yes.
the extra franking? Is it a franking on the,
Yeah, I don't know whether you can see my pointer, but you're talking about this label here.
it's a label, it's not a franking.
It is a label. It's a label that was apparently prepared for Christmas for use at Christmas of 1915, and you can see that it has a partial cancel. So in fact, on this, it was a used label that was added to this card.
Do you know the color?
It's
Yeah.
this is the only time that I have seen that label,
So,
but it's a 1915 Christmas label.
does it say carrot shown? No, I don't see the carrot shown.
It says to our soldiers Christmas on top.
Okay.
It's a charity label that
And
collected funds.
if I remember right, it's been a long time, but if I remember right, it is a dark blue colored label.
Mhm.
The ink is dark blue.
Okay.
There was a whole series of different colored labels like that prepared.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll move on. Austro-Hungarian support units assisted the Germans at the German Zeppelin base at St. András. These field postcards have hand stamps of KUK Luftschiffe Truppe St. András. This was the logistics and support unit responsible for, among other things, hauling down and docking the Zeppelins. The card at left has the hand stamp of KUK Commando Adabar. This was the Austro-Hungarian radio station unit at the St. András base, and they were responsible for communicating with the Zeppelins. Adabar was the call name of the radio station. And finally, another fantasy card. 1914 Budapest Vienna postcard pictures a Zeppelin toppling the Eiffel Tower with a tow rope. In my 30 plus years of collecting early Hungarian airmails, I found a lot of fun and unusual stuff.
Well, it may not be toppling, it may be putting it into position, with carrying it.
That depends how you think of it. Notice that the anti-aircraft fire does not reach high in that picture. You see these lines are indicating anti-aircraft fire. Anyway,
It's a nice card. It's nice.
Yeah.
so that's the end of today's presentation. Everything you saw here, except the 3 photos, was mail transported in Hungary and was part of my collection. My book, which has garnered several awards, was published by the American Airmail Society, and I get no financial benefit from it. It's still available from several online sources. I've shown my errata to the book here for those of you who may own the book and not gotten the errata that I published back in the 90s. Thanks for joining me today, and now let's open the discussion to all of you.
Very good, very good.
Vic, thank you very much. That's fascinating. Very good. Any questions from the group here? For Vic?
Vic,
Uh,
if there've been, I know you don't have the collection you had 25 years ago, but have there been any significant discoveries that you're aware of since then?
In the balloon area, no.
Yeah. Okay.
In the balloon area, nothing that I'm aware of, but keep in mind, I haven't been actively collecting for 25 years, and
Right.
so if there are additional discoveries, I probably would not be privy to them. My guess of a place for discoveries would be additional balloon post mail from Shemisel. You know, that was really scarce, really rare, and when in the 90s, a lot of mail seemed to come out of the cracks in Hungary, and you know, went on the market. I think there could very well be more mail from the so-called lost balloons that might be identifiable and so forth. I think that's the most likely prospect.
I have a question about the mechanics, Vic.
Yeah.
The balloons on the ground, you put the mail in the casket or whatever, it goes up, and then does it just drop the mail from above?
Which balloons are you talking about?
Any balloon?
The pre-war, during a pre-war period, these were manned balloons, which were, you know, being used by the Army for multiple purposes, you know, and just keeping up the pilots' abilities, as well as weather research and so forth. The cards like the Tepser cards and others that were landing greetings were obviously flown with the pilot and then put in the mail when they landed, and were generally personal, although I'm sure that some of them were official. For instance, the one from the 1910 air show, what was sent back to headquarters in Austria by the pilots. On the other hand, the weather research ones were initially drop cards that they dropped. They dropped multiple cards during the course of the flight, noting where they were dropped, and
Were they packaged or just
no,
flipped?
I believe, I have a belief that they were streamed down. In other words, a ribbon or something like that, like the tail of a kite, was attached to the card,
Mhm.
so that they would drop down straighter. The reason for that is one of those cards that I had little slits cut in it, that I believe were where the ribbon was threaded into the card. So that's my only that's just a supposition, but that's my belief of how many of them were dropped.
Do you know from what height they were dropped?
Well, let's look at one. This Bussard card that we were talking about. Let's see. No, on that one, they did not put what the height was. And on the other one here, I can't read it well enough from this lousy copy. But you know, that may or may not have material to weather research. You know, the height they dropped it from.
But the height would have something to do with the accuracy of the landing. That's
Yeah, well, that's right. And if they indicate, that's why the location for finding was part of the feedback that was provided by the finder. You know, they certainly could have recorded what they were over when they dropped it, and comparing that to where it was found can aid the weather research.
okay.
Yeah. Anything else about this dropping business? Most of the dropped cards were 1908 to 1911 when they were doing that. Other questions? Okay, well, I'll stop the screen share then, and
Oh, there we go.
All right, Vic, excellent.
Now we get to see all the people that are here.
Well, now you can see everybody.
Hey, Robert, there you are. Hi.
Where?
Joy.
Oh, Robert, there you are. Hi, didn't see you
Yeah.
join.
Hi,
I guess I
folks.
must let you in. So just to let everybody know, the next presentation, Karoi, are you on? I thought I saw you join. I don't see
Yes,
you.
sorry, I was.
Oh, there you are. Yes, I see you. So the next presentation is in 4 weeks. And Karoi, you're going to be doing that. Revenues, papers of Hungarian adhesive revenues. So you ready for that?
Yes, but we have to discuss the day because I will be in the first half of April in Tasmania. Okay. And
So we might want to move that date, but we'll.
also the second half of April is okay for me.
All right, all right. We'll. I'll communicate with you and we'll set a date and then I'll let everybody know.
Well, either that, Alan, or maybe just swap out the presenter from the next one.
From the next one.
With card sheet, so.
Yeah, who is the next one? That's Jan Yap. I don't think he's on, so I can check.
I think that would be simpler than trying to change the dates because that
Yeah.
confuses old people like me.
Yeah, that is probably the reason we wanted to keep it specific.
Yeah,
The
right.
second Saturday.
Second Saturday.
All right, so Karoi, I'll work on that next week and see.
Okay, I will prepare it. We was very busy with preparing for the Unflown exhibition.
Yes.
I was personally edited a 200 pages book about the Hungarian Federation. it will be the centenary of the founding of the federation this
Yep.
year.
Yep.
And we wrote the story, the history of the federation in this book. And the present, of course, your society is also in the last pages with the German and with the English societies, some pages. Csaba has written it.
Yes, well, we look forward to seeing that.
Yes.
We wish you all the best at Unflown in a couple of weeks too.
Maybe you cannot come.
No, I can't. We do have Greg coming though. I don't think Greg's on the
Yes,
call.
Greg wrote me that he bring the book what you have offered me us.
Yes, that's right. And then Dr. Al Manasir, who is our representative there, will be bringing our exhibit. Csaba, so the exhibit is all set.
Oh, good. That was painful.
Yeah, yes, it's all printed out. He's got multiple copies, and it's on its way. He has it. So
Okay, good.
And we also have a bunch of applications and that he's taking. So hopefully we'll pick up a few new members.
Uh-huh.
But Greg is going to represent us, and he will look you up, Caro.
Yes, there will be a great auction in the 3rd April, where you can buy, if somebody wants, a full set of color proofs of the Hungarian lithography issue.
Oh,
It can be seen on the net soon at Darabont.
sorry.
I think it is a very rare, the full set is rare. Maybe Martin has it in pairs. We have seen it in his exhibit material. I have also a set of pairs, but only these 2 pairs exist. Set. But some single pieces are available at me also for trading. If you want some, we have discussed about it with Ellen. I offered for your next auction some proofs of this lithograph color prints. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you, Victor. Thank you.
all right. Well, thank you, everybody. And Vic, thank you again. It's excellent and, very, very interesting stuff.
Yeah. Well, if Vic would stay on the line, I want to discuss a few things with him.
I'm
Yeah, you're co-host.
You're
So
still
happy
there.
to.
I'm going to stop the recording though. And
Okay.
I will